Good afternoon, everybody. This is Adrienne Montgomery with ERP VAR. We are going to be talking about Sage 100 integrated e-commerce, shipping, and payments. I'm so pleased to be joined by CertaPro, Starship, and VIP integrated payments. I'm joined by Simon Quinn, Director of Sales over at CertaPro Solutions, and Nick Young, Senior ERP Consultant at CertaPro Solutions. They're going to be talking about the integrated e-commerce portion of the presentation. Matt St. John, Sales Executive over at V Technologies. He's going to be talking about shipping automation. And Maya Green and Tom Nanchi over at VIP Integrated Payments. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. They're going to be talking about integrated payments and a little bit about the companies. CertaPro is based in Los Angeles, and they are a leading provider of Magento e-commerce software integrated with Sage 100. It's powered by eLink, and that's a two-way connector that handles all connection points for business partner portals and B2B, B2C e-commerce needs. As a Magento technology partner, CertaPro also has a team of Sage certified developers, consultants, technicians, CPAs, and software programmers. And they have over 20 years of expertise in supporting, implementing Sage 100. And our core competencies are inventory and e-commerce related situations. And Starship is developed by a company, V Technologies, that was founded in 1987, and they provide multi-carrier shipping software, and it connects your warehouse to the front office. They have very strong relationships with parcel providers, FedEx, USPS, UPS, OnTrack, LTL carriers, Holland, UPS, YRC, Old Dominion, and Pitt, Ohio. They also have integrations not only with Sage 100, but 300, 500, X3, Dynamics GP, Acumatica, QuickBooks, SAP Business One, Epicor, SysPro, and Amazon. They have an integration with Amazon, eBay, Magento, Shopify, and WooCommerce for all your shipping needs. And VIP Integrated Payments is a leading provider of integrated payment technology. They focus on North American merchants, and they've developed very strategic partnerships. They don't only represent one solution, but they have multiple solutions they offer as options because every business is unique. And they have a broad suite of end-to-end payment solutions and US-based customer support. So their solutions are offered through a diversified network of partners, lots of Sage 100 partners and Sage partners in general for all the Sage interfaces. And they've built these very strong alliances over 10 years by integrating those relationships. And they really take pride in driving those relationships and supporting those relationships to help business partners succeed and grow. So a little bit about the workflow. We're going to be talking about CertaPro's Magento e-commerce solution first. Simon and Nick are going to talk about how an order comes in through the e-commerce web store, through the Magento interface, and all those details of the order go back into Sage 100 through their integration, and the details of the order are picked up by Starship, which will pick up the most efficient carrier based on all the rules of the shipment and the customer's requirements. And then VIP Integrated Payments will get the best rate on that credit card processing transaction, and all of that information will go back into CertaPro's Magento web store so the customer can see all the details of the shipment and their order right there in Magento. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Simon to kick it off with Magento. Thank you, Simon.
Great, Adrienne. Thank you so much. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. My name is Simon Quinn. I am the Director of Sales for CertaPro, and also with me I have Nick Young, our eLink Product Manager, as well as a Senior ERP Consultant. So today we're going to talk about and demo CertaPro's eLink software. I'll provide a quick overview of the product, and then Nick's going to get into the fun stuff, which will be a live demo of how eLink syncs Sage and Magento. And as you'll see, the functionality of eLink is basically to connect with Sage and allow your company to create an online business portal or a B2B, B2C website for your customers using Magento. So often successful online businesses, whether you're selling B2C directly to consumers or B2B directly to businesses or distributors or both, you're going to reach a point where you're spending more time and money managing data in both your web portal and in Sage. So you have two different silos. So managing product information, prices, stock levels, customer information, and web orders across two platforms can be problematic. So it increases the risk of errors and omissions in both systems, and more importantly, affects your profit margins. So on the other hand, integration does pay for itself, and the return on the investment is realized over time. So with a Magento e-commerce platform integrated with Sage using CertaPro's eLink software, this key information is now going to be synchronized between both systems, and it reduces the time spent managing dual entry. So with that, it maximizes profits and, more importantly, improves customer satisfaction. So CertaPro has created a product called eLink, and it's a syncing technology that is a powerful tool that synchronizes data both ways. So your Sage product and customer information can now be updated to your business portal or your web store 24/7. Online orders can now be imported into Sage and are ready to be processed within minutes. And this is all completed without manually running batch jobs or any other procedures. It's automatic, and you'll see this on the demo that Nick does. So with our eLink software, the data securely flows between Sage and the web store using an encrypted connection. So this makes your company's backend completely anonymous and secure, all while being PCI compliant. So having an online store or a business partner portal means that you're open for business all the time, and CertaPro's eLink software now makes it approachable and affordable for your business to have an online presence. So quickly, I want to take a step back and just talk about Magento. What is Magento and why Magento? So Magento is an e-commerce platform. The world's biggest brands love Magento for its flexibility. Today's consumers and their businesses and their buying patterns are changing by the minute, as we know. So only Magento, which is also open source and scalable, can help you adapt and grow. There's a global ecosystem of over 150,000 developers, and with a Sage business partner like CertaPro, using Magento can boost your online sales while maximizing your gross margins. Magento businesses sell more at a lower total cost of operation than any other e-commerce platform that's out there. And also, the Magento marketplace is the world's largest and most versatile, which they offer customized and tested extensions. Magento powers more merchants on the internet than any other platform, which is why CertaPro is a Magento technology partner. So let's jump into eLink and how does it work, and then we'll hand it off to Nick. So eLink is actually two parts. So one is an API that runs on top of the Sage server that allows us to talk to Sage using the Sage business objects. So with eLink, if you go and create an order, it's actually going to create an order as if you're tabbing through all the fields in Sage. So it's not just putting data in a database, if you will. Any business logic that's built into Sage, we're going to be following all of the same business logic with the eLink API. So it also loads all of the customer defaults. Basically, it's going to populate all the fields that you expect it to be populated. And with that, I'm going to hand this over to Nick, our eLink product manager, who's going to perform a live demo of how our eLink software syncs data from Sage to Magento, and he's going to perform a few transactions. Over to you, Nick.
So I'm just going to walk through some of the things that Simon just talked about. So this is our Luma web store, and this is just a fresh installation of Magento, and then we installed our eLink enhancements in both Magento and Sage. So all of this is the out of the box functionality you'll get with eLink integration. So we can go look at some products very quickly. In Sage, you'll have the ability to check a box to make the product internet enabled. We can create the products automatically on the web or update them if you've already created them there. We can bring over any information from Sage that you need for that product, such as the SKU, the product name, description, etc. We do bring over the inventory levels, so you can control in stock and out of stock on your products on the web based on your actual Sage inventory levels. And Magento has the ability to, on individual products, override that and say this one is always in stock or this one's always out of stock, that kind of stuff as you need to as well. We do bring over all of the custom pricing from Sage. So you don't have to go and enter or import pricing into Magento. We've recreated all of the pricing structures inside of Magento for Sage. So all of your custom pricing, contract pricing, price levels, price codes, promotional pricing, all of that comes over into Magento automatically. So when the customer logs into their account, the price that they see for a particular product is their actual price as it's set up inside of Sage. So we'll go ahead and add a couple of products to the cart and we'll go through the checkout process. And I'll show you how the orders go back and forth between Sage and Magento. So we'll actually place an order and we'll let that get exported to Sage. I'll create an invoice inside of Sage and we can see that in the customer's account here in Magento. So we will proceed to the checkout. Once we get to the checkout, you're going to see at the top of the checkout, we have customer address information already showing. We are bringing the address information over from Sage for this customer. So if you have an existing relationship with your customers, they've already ordered from you, and then they register an account online and link their Sage customer, then they get all of their address information from Sage automatically, so they don't have to go retype everything. So we're just going to use the default that's set up. We'll choose the free shipping and go to the next part for payments. So in payments, we add two payment extensions to Magento. One is our credit card extension, which works with all the various integrated payment processors for Sage, which Maya will help you with later. And then we also have our Bill Me option, which is integrated with the Sage payment terms. So you can choose in Sage which payment terms are credit card only. And so say like COD or cash only customers, and the Bill Me will actually disappear for them. This allows you to serve both your B2B and your B2C customers with one portal without having to actually, deal with the difference in the customers. It's just based on their actual login. So we will go ahead and check out with the credit card. For checkout, we are doing a pre-authorization. So we'll do a pre-authorization and then we'll actually bring that transaction token into Sage with the sales order. So this is all PCI compliant. We're not actually transferring any of the credit card information with the sales order. We are just bringing all of the tokens back and forth. And then if you need to update quantities or pricing or whatever it may be in Sage, customer calls in, they want to remove an item off of their order. You don't have to worry about if the card's already charged. This will be just like if you put the card in on the order directly and did a pre-authorization is there. So now that I placed that order, I'm going to go to our account and go look at the sales orders. You'll see that order is sitting up here in pending sales orders. We're using what I call a live syncing system. So if your Sage is down for any particular reason, your internet connection at your office is down, you're doing database maintenance, whatever reason Sage isn't available, this order will be queued so that it will be sent to Sage as soon as Sage is available. So you don't have to worry about any sort of downtime on your website. Your customers can still come online, they can still get their pricing, place orders, look at their invoices and print them. And then once Sage is available, it will automatically move from pending and move down here to accepted orders where it'll have a Sage sales order number. One thing I want to point out here is we have some orders where there is no web order. We're bringing all of the Sage transaction history into the customer's portal online. So whether your transactions originate directly from Sage, customer service enters an order directly in Sage, or the customer places an order online, the customer will have a complete view of their account online. So now that we placed that order, let's go ahead and go into Sage and take a look at it. In Sage, we add the field for that web order number, so you can include it in your lookups if you need to. This will allow your customer service to look up orders by basically the confirmation number that the customer would have in their email. So for this order that we just placed, you can see it's telling me that I had a credit card pre-authorization on it. And this is what Simon was mentioning about using the Sage Business Objects. Once we load the customer number into the form, it loads all of the customer defaults, just like you're entering the order directly here in Sage. And then from there, we override all the information that we need to for that particular order. So we have the bill to and ship to from the web. We have those 2 lines that the customer ordered with the quantity and pricing coming from the web. And then if we go over to the payments tab, you can see that credit card transaction that was automatically brought into the sales order. So this is going to actually charge the credit card during the invoicing process, just like all your other orders where you did a pre-authorization directly here. So for this order, we're going to manually invoice it using invoice data entry. If you're using shipping software like Starship that you're going to see in a little while, they'll bring the tracking numbers back to the invoice in the same place. So you'll get automatic integration with Starship as well. So for this one, we'll put in a couple of fake tracking numbers, just so you can see how those come back to the web. And we'll load that order that we had just placed. And we'll just ship this complete and create our invoice. So we'll go to back to the web, and that's going to automatically import, and it'll update the invoice here and the tracking numbers. While it does that, I'll show you a couple of other features that we have in the customer portal. So your customers may want to shop using categories, products, or search, but we also have a quick order form for your B2B users to enter an order more like a PO. So if you need your customers to be able to enter an order like a PO, they can come in, they can type a SKU, or they can search by SKU or description quickly, add the products that they want to the order, and then update their quantities to add to the checkout. They get instant availability check here. They get all of their pricing from Sage. This also includes if they had quantity breaks, the pricing will automatically update based on the price they put in here. I mean, the quantity that they put in here. And then once they hit add to cart and checkout, this is going to add everything to the cart and go directly to the checkout process. So this is much like entering a PO and sending it to you without any fuss as far as having to actually search for products and go through a shopping process. Since that should sync now, you can see if we go back, we now have an invoice from Sage. So this is that invoice I just created on our sales order. And we also have an invoice view where customers can search by invoices, by any other information that might have been on them. And you can see on the invoice view, we show the tracking numbers right here in the grid as well. So if we view the actual details, you can see you have any tracking information. If we had put comments, those would be here. And then we have links back and forth between the invoices and sales orders. So if I click on the sales order here, then I get the actual sales order and all of the invoices that would have been related to that sales order as well. So if I ship this in multiple shipments, customer can very easily see everything that happened with the sales order directly from their portal. Once you have an invoice, say that we had used Bill Me to place that order, we could come into My Payments and we can actually see our previous payments and also make a payment on an invoice. Again, this is going to bring back all of the customers' transactions regardless of where they originated. So we have some checks the customer sent in. When they look at their payments portal, they're seeing those checks as well as the invoices that they paid with them. But we also have the ability to make a new payment. In the payment section, we get all of the credit cards that are available to us during the checkout. Also, if you have ACH enabled on your provider and you want to allow your customers to pay by ACH, you can also allow basically e-check for the payments as well. So for here, I'm going to select that same demo card we used during the checkout. If I needed to enter a new card, I could do that right here if I wanted to pay with a different card here. And then I can select from my open invoices. So I have 2 invoices that are waiting to be paid. I'm going to go ahead and add them both. And say this second invoice, I only want to pay $1,000 right now, leave a $900 open balance. I can do that. So I can add to my register, update my amounts, and place payment. This is going to automatically do a capture. Unlike the checkout where we did a pre-authorization, we're actually capturing on the credit card at the time they make the payment. This is going to export into Sage as a cash receipt already applied to the invoices the customer selected with the amounts that they selected. So you don't have to worry about any sort of manual entry when it comes to the cash receipt. All you have to do is review it and then post that batch and you're ready to go. We do have other integrations, say with RMA, we have our My Products extension, which allows you to choose products that are basically customer specific, so only a customer or a group of customers are able to see or order those online. And we have some other extensions like our multi-customer or salesperson module. If you want to see any of that extra functionality, it'd be great if you scheduled a demo with Simon and me so that we can kind of do a tailored demo for you and show you what else we have to offer. This is a very quick overview of the integration between Sage and Magento. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this back to Simon for him to wrap up, but I appreciate everybody's time.
So we know that from our experience that no two websites or web portals are the same. Every site has a unique look and feel. So whatever the case may be, if you need an end-to-end e-commerce solution or a business partner portal built out, we can manage that entire process for you. If you just need the eLink software piece to connect Sage to your existing websites, we can work with your Sage business partner or web development team to provide recommendations and solutions to get that accomplished. So with that, we'll hand this over to Matt from Starship and appreciate the time.
Thank you, Simon, and thank you, Nick. Great job. All right, now hopefully everyone can see my screen. And on my screen is the Starship. Oops, if I can do this right. There we go. The Starship program. So with Starship, kind of one of the nice things as you're going to see is as a shipper, I can actually just work inside of the program. Technically, I don't need access to Sage. A lot of our clients, you know, out in the warehouse, hey, we have our shipping machines. Really, they just have Starship installed. They don't even have Sage on that machine. So again, as a shipper, I can actually just work inside of the Starship program. And with Starship, even though I'm not inside of Sage or have Sage installed on my machine, it's still a live connection. So right now on my machine here, I have sales order selected as the source information. As you can see, we can pull by customer or even by the invoice number if you happen to create those first. For example, if you were using like a WMS system, Starship literally plug and play with the solutions out there. But if I was using a WMS, I would have to pull by an invoice, because if I try to pull by a sales order, it's going to yell at me and say, hey, you know, Starship is that shipment's already actually currently being shipped. And it's only technically because inside of Sage, that's how the WMS system works. It really creates that shipping data entry record. But most customers, it is by sales orders. We have the option, as you see here, I can manually look up the sales order. I can even type it in, or if it happens to be barcoded, I'm on my pick sheet or whatever I happen to be shipping against. Starship also fully supports wedge type plug and play barcode scanners. So I can even just scan in that information. But down here, if I was manually looking up orders, I could sort by any of these columns. I could add, remove columns. I can even get into filtering this by any of these Sage fields. So if I wanted to narrow that search result, I would be able to do that. So here, what I'll do is just type in a sales order number. Now, normally what Starship would do is just, of course, load all the shipping information for sales order 222. In my case, I actually have it turned on, and one of the nice features of Starship is we can also consolidate multiple orders that are either going to the same ship to or even by the same PO number. So in this case, my system here, instead of loading sales order 222, it's stopping and showing me as a shipper, hey, I see all these other orders that are going to that same ship to. So I could select them all and click create shipment. And then what Starship would simply do is consolidate them into one shipment. That way, we're not sending out, 5 different shipments to the same address or for the same PO. So going to help save some time and save some money. And for the sake of demo, I'll just quickly load this single order. I kind of briefly touch on all the points and features of Starship, but of course, if you'd like to schedule a one-on-one discovery demo, I'm more than happy to do that. We can do a lot deeper dive. But with Starship, we're just simply data mapping all the Sage fields into the program. So here's my source information. So I'm pulling by sales order. Here's my company. We do fully support multiple companies, warehouses, locations, whatever the case may be. So that's my source info. Sender, of course, is the company information. Now, if anyone out there is doing blind or drop shipments, for example, hey, we ship for Tractor Supply Company, it needs to show like it's coming from them. I can actually have Starship set up where in this case, I manually selected Tractor Supply Company, but we could also have that set up where it's automatically going to select it. So again, with Starship, simply pointing it to Sage fields, and those can be standard Sage fields, maybe like a comment, the comment field on a sales order, or we even support user-defined fields. So some of our customers, they have user-defined fields set up, and in that case, if I had one that said, maybe TSC or Tractor Supply Company, Starship would know to automatically change this address. So that way, as a shipper, I don't have to go in and manually touch it. And really, that's true with all these Starship fields. We're here to help streamline your shipping. So the less things as a shipper you have to click, type, touch, of course, the better. Recipient information, again, just pulling from the ship to. Starship will do address validation, and we do validate zip +4, and we also validate the commercial residential flag. So going to help save on those additional fees that you might be getting hit with. And then down here in the transportation, just mapping in your ship via code. So those are telling Starship, the carrier, the service, the account. If you're doing third-party or collect shipments, Starship could automatically be set up, or can be set up to automatically select the billing type, even the customer's account information. We have a database where if you wanted to, you could store that customer's, here's my address, and then here's their different account numbers. And again, this could be all set up where Starship, I bring this in as a shipper, I don't have to worry about typing in the billing account number or changing it to third party. Even with your third party, we validate the carrier account that you enter. So here I removed the 6 characters, so it's yelling at me and saying, hey, it's UPS, it's got to be 6 characters, not 5. And even if I do 5 or 6 characters and it is an invalid address, when I try to process this, in this case, Starship is going to yell at me and say, hey, that's an invalid account number. I can't process the shipment, because usually if you do that and you send something third party collect and it's a bad account number, the carrier will actually bill your account for that shipment. Okay. So shipment details, really just all our shipment options, and then packaging in a live environment. Most clients, as a shipper, this is the first spot I'm going to go to, because this is where I can get into item box detail. I can assign boxes, Starship's multi-carrier, multi-mode. So we also fully support LTL shipments. So here I would be able to do item box pallet detail. Also, if you're using a WMS, just know however you define the shipment on that handheld device, that's how it's going to flow into Starship. So the nice thing with the WMS now, at time of shipment, I don't even have to worry about putting items in boxes. It's all just going to be right here as I defined it on the shipment, just coming in, or on the handheld device, bringing it right in. Now, my system with this blanket, Starship does support packaging scenarios. It is one item to either one single package or multiple packages. Unfortunately, we can't do things like, hey, a blanket and a pillow always fit in a blanket box. But with this item, Starship knows, oh, they're shipping a blanket. They always put it in a box that I've called blanket, so it's automatically packaged that. Works great for case packs, because you can also do quantity breaks and tell Starship, hey, only 6 blankets fit in the blanket box. But from here, if I have no other packaging scenarios, Starship's just set up, I'm just dropping them all into this custom package. You could also assign an actual default package if needed. But if I needed to add an additional box, I could simply click this little package icon here. Or if I have a large order, maybe I need 10 boxes, I can, on each one of these boxes, this is a repeat box icon. So I can tell Starship, hey, I need 10 boxes, even copy the original weights, click OK. And then Starship would simply add all those additional boxes. I'm just going to delete these for the sake of the demo so we don't get a bunch of labels printing out. Now, with the item to box detail, just know I don't have to put items in boxes. So again, if it was a large order, hey, I don't want my shipper to have to put an item in each box. What most of our customers do, everything just comes into one box. They use the repeat box function, add those additional 9 boxes, and then process the shipment. But if I wanted to, it's simple drag and drop. So here, oh yeah, I know a pill can fit in that blanket box. I just drag that in there. The quantities, again, just pulling from, in this case, the sales order. We also have a feature where if you wanted to allow your shippers to back order items, they could do that as well. And of course, on the write back, Starship's going to write back that back ordered quantity. So the custom package, this is just another database that Starship has, where if you maybe have standard size boxes or bags, bales, pallets, whatever it might be, you could actually select those. And here I'll say, oh, the dinner plates are going to go in a small box. And the nice thing with using the custom packages is once they're set up, Starship will automatically populate the dimensions. Because with Starship over here, I have my actual weight. And in my system, I'm actually just pulling the weights from inside of Sage. I have them all set up. Starship's automatically calculating the weight. But then next door, I have bill weight. So that's the actual dimensional calculation, in this case, based on UPS's dimensional calc. And now, as you see, dimensionally, this one's 19 pounds, and this package is 7 pounds. So right now, what Starship is doing is rate shopping everything at the correct dimensional weight. And then also when we process this shipment, it's going to send it to the carrier at the correct dimensional weight as well. So later on, you're not going to get that bill that, you sent that out at 16 pounds, it should have been 19. So that's really a quick overview of the packaging where we can get into that item to box detail. Line item detail, again, this is another spot as a shipper you're probably not going to have to click, but with Starship, another database we have for additional information. We will actually start storing your inventory items. And the reason we do that, because maybe inside of Sage, you're not using a standard field or a user-defined field for things like the freight class. Or if you're processing international shipments, maybe you're not having an area inside of Sage with any of this required international data. So Starship, as you see, we can store all that. And now, again, as a shipper, I don't have to worry about stopping and filling out any of the required international information. Of course, if this was missing, Starship would alert me. For example, with the Schedule B harmonized codes, I could quickly come in here and add one, look it up, select it. And any of this information that I add, Starship will automatically save. So the next time I bring in this blanket, I'm not going to have to populate that Schedule B or harmonized code. Anyone also doing international shipments, we do support all the new certificate of origin forms, so the USMCA form. But with Starship and on this order, you're going to see we can actually generate your international documents. If it's an LTL shipment, we can do bill lading forms, pallet labels. So really with Starship, multi-carrier, multi-mode, bring in my information, do some live rate shopping, receive all my documents, and then you're going to see all that information is going to go back into Sage. Also in a live environment, usually the next stop after we do packaging is to scroll down here and actually do the live rate shopping. So this is a direct call to the carriers. When you use Starship, we set it up, we put in your account numbers, and then we ping the carriers and return, for example, here's your live contract rate. If you want to see published list rates, you could see that as well. Even things like the ETA, business days or total days. Now, in my system, I have this rate shop scenario, so I'm just telling Starship, hey, it's a parcel shipment, only show me my parcel carriers and services. I have the opposite rule for freight because in my system, I have a lot of LTL carriers. And in this point, I don't want to see those because it's a parcel shipment. Now, we can even take that a step further, and a lot of our customers do best way shipping. So they have a rule set up that, Starship, hey, when you rate shop, I want you to automatically select the least expensive carrier service, or maybe you want to do least amount of delivery days. So the whole rating process, that can even be automated as well. We can do switch rules where, hey, if it's a certain customer, it's always got to go UPS and it's got to go on this account. Or I have a customer that they have a rule set up where they have a user-defined field. And if that's selected, it lives on the sales order. Starship automatically knows to always select a second day service. They only use UPS, so it just automatically selects UPS second day. But again, the whole rate shopping, the selecting of the carrier service can be automated as well. Now, the applied charge, this column is actually plus or minus any freight rules. So if anyone out there is doing freight rules where, hey, maybe we're doing free shipping over X amount of dollars, Starship can support those. I actually have a couple. I have one here. It's just a 10% discount, looking at a user-defined field inside of Sage. And then this one is I drilled down all the way to the line item detail. And because these plates are on this order, I'm adding a flat rate of $3 because they're fragile and we always use additional packaging material. So let's help cover for that additional packaging material. Right. So again, I'm going to bring in my order, maybe do some item box detail, come down rate shop, and when I'm ready, I can simply click the ship and process button, or under the shipment dropdown, we have shortcut keys, we can save shipments, we can also create a return label at the same time, but I'll just click ship and process. And of course, in a live environment, Starship would also right now start just printing out your shipping documents. For demos, I PDF everything, so it takes a moment, here we go, to pop all the PDFs, and there they all are. Also for demos, this document is what we call our special kind of combo between a shipping label and a packing list. This is just an option. Again, in my system, I don't have a thermal printer, so I just display this so you can see a shipping label and a packing list. But of course, shipping labels can go to your thermal printers, even the packing list. If you want to, we could send that to a thermal printer as well. So here's box 1. Also with packing list, of course, send it to a laser printer or even save it to a network share as maybe a PDF. So there's for box 1. Here's box 2. Now, also with the documents, for example, this packing list, I actually customized it. So you can create unlimited templates for each of the documents and then even assign printing rules. So here, because I changed it and I'm shipping this as it's a blind shipment for Tractor Supply Company, I have to use this special packing list that has their company information, their logo on it. So on this template, I simply have a rule that says, hey, Starship, only generate this document when the order is for Tractor Supply Company. So again, you can create unlimited templates for each of your documents and then even assign printing logic or printing rules to tell Starship when those documents are going to print. Because this is international, I'm generating my shipper's letter of instruction, my certificate of origin, as well as the commercial invoice. Again, the commercial invoice I customize, so I have it already signed and dated. So here as a shipper, one less thing I have to worry about. I don't have to fill out any of this information. It's going to print out with all that data already generated for me. So I'm just going to close all these. But once we click ship and process, our documents are going to print. Starship's going to take me right back to the main screen. And then what I'll do is go back onto my Sage machine and show you the write back. So I'm going to go into SO invoice data entry. Now, also with Starship, as soon as I click ship and process, it's automatically going to create the invoice. So here is sales order 222. Here's the invoice for that. And then as Nick was mentioning on the tracking, we're going to send back all that information automatically where CertaPro can grab that and upload that to your web orders. But all that information is going to automatically generate for you. We're simply dropping into the Sage tables so I can even track or even see what was in each of the boxes using these little icons. And then on the totals tab, writing back freight amount plus or minus any freight rules, or we can do a write back rule. Again, if the order came from a website and we already charged freight, we can tell Starship, hey, in this scenario, do not overwrite the freight amount. And then underneath here, I actually added a user defined field, or actually 2 of them, but this freight cost from Starship, another feature of Starship is I can take additional shipping information and send it back into user defined fields. So here, I'm always passing back my contract rate, what I'm going to be charged. That way now, before someone updates the invoice, they can compare the 2 fields. And in this case, hey, we shorted ourselves. What happened? They received a discount. No, it should be $75. So just another feature of Starship. All right. So once we ship and process, invoice automatically going to be created with all the shipping information tracking freight amounts. And also with Starship, if anyone has the requirements from sales order entry, if they want their customer service reps to do live rating, we add this button and they can simply click that. It's going to open up a screen that looks just like Starship where they can do item box detail, do that live rate shopping, and then have that automatically write back. If we change the carrier, Starship would reverse translate the ship via, and then even the totals, we would write the freight amount to the totals. And then with that, a couple other things I quickly want to show, and then I'll hand this off. Included with Starship, besides the rate quoting, and rate quoting in this dashboard program, just know does not require any additional users for Starship. So again, most users, everyone in the front office has access to this, but dashboards are reporting tools. So here I have some history status. I can see, tracking numbers, the package status, heat maps. If you want to kind of see your hot spots, you can see those as well. And a bunch of canned crystal reports. If you want to run any of these, you can do that as well. But the other nice thing in this and included with Starship is this e-Notify program. So with e-Notify, this allows you to actually create your own custom email templates. So you can put your company information on there, pull in Sage fields. Here's the PO number, sales order number. Hey, it's coming FedEx. Here's that item to box detail with hyperlink tracking information. So customer can click that and go right to the carrier's website. And with these emails, just like the shipping documents, you can create unlimited templates. And on those templates, you can even assign emailing rules. So here I have a 20% off promo code, which of course, any promo code you can also hyperlink, maybe send them back to your website. But here, maybe I only want this promo code or this template to go to certain customers. We can most certainly set that up, and only those customers would receive this code. And last but not least, one thing I also want to mention, Starship, we actually offer an on-prem version and now a full-blown cloud version as well. The cloud version, same look and feel as what I'm showing you here, but the nice thing with the cloud version, of course, it's SaaS-based pricing, so you can pay month to month. We have different tiers based off your shipping volumes. You gain access to all the parcel or all the parcel and LTL carriers that we support and have those integrations with. So a couple of different options for you. And then, like I said, if you want to do a deeper dive, please feel free to reach out. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Adrienne.
Thank you so much, Matt. I'm going to hand it over to Maya. Maya will be talking about VIP integrated payments with Sage 100.
Hi, guys. My name is Maya Green. I am the president of VIP Integrated Payments. We are the omni-channel payment processing company. Basically, we set up merchant services for the integrated payments clients from Sage to Acumatica to SAP to Oracle. And we work with all of the vendors in the middle, basically allow customers and resellers to have multiple options when it comes to payments. So the main part of our business is the Sage products, and we've been doing this for about 17 years. We do work in all of those channels from, Sage 50 all the way up to Intact, and we are the go-to basically for the integrated payments clients. Again, we do try to set up an omni-channel kind of feel, and we are not beholden to a certain processor. So you have multiple options when you work with us. So let's talk a little bit about us. We'll talk about early termination fees and long-term contracts, some liquidated damages. We'll talk about the third-party uninstall process, some rate negotiation, support your industry, equipment leasing, grossly overstated savings, and real-time support. We will also talk about why you should work with a payments consultant. So about us, we are independent payment service provider. We work with multiple channels, multiple different platforms to set up clients with integrated payments. We do provide an end-to-end suite of solutions, and we have a diversified network of partners and alliances. Again, we've been doing this for over 15 years. It's been 17. We do develop partner relationships and work specifically with resellers and end users to ensure those relationships last. VIP has been involved in over 3,500 Sage 100 payments installs, about 5,000 Sage installs total, but mostly in the Sage 100 space, and the rest are spread out through the different products. We do want to become the go-to integrated payments consultants, and that's kind of the way we look at ourselves as ubiquitous consultants. We want to teach the client how they can do better in the processing market when they're looking for a merchant service provider, specifically in the integrated payments industry. We are ETA certified payments professionals. What that means is we are Electronic Transaction Association certified payments professionals, kind of like a CPA for payment service providers. You take a code of ethics and a few other things. All of our people at VIP are certified, ETA certified, and it's kind of a requirement for working with us. So what we'll talk about first is early termination fees and long-term contracts. When you're talking about payment services, merchant services, specifically in the integrated payments channel, you run into long-term contracts most of the time. And a lot of times these contracts are a 3-year term with a 1-year rolling term on the end of that. So if you don't terminate your contract within a certain period of time, then you actually will re-up for another year. Well, in this one, and what you run into in the integrated payment side is the renewal terms generally tend to be longer. And so in this specific contract, you actually end up re-upping for an additional 3 years. So it's a 3-year with a 3-year rolling. It's something that you want to avoid no matter what. We always do month-to-month processing contracts. We want to make sure that the client feels like they have flexibility, the ability to move, and we don't want them to feel like their hands are tied. The other thing is indemnification. Essentially what that is when you're talking about payments contracts is it's kind of like an insurance policy for both sides. And the good processors offer mutual indemnification. Some of the not so good ones that kind of want to rope you in and not let you go, they offer a one-sided indemnification. Basically, you'll cover them, but they won't cover you if you decide to break the contract. So it's one of those things that we help you through in the mix of looking at payment services contracts. Mutual indemnification is always the best way to go. Then we're going to look a little bit at liquidated damages. What that means is when you sign up with a provider, you sign up for that term contract, and the term contract comes with the 36-month term usually. If you decide to leave after 12 months, what you're going to do with liquidated damages is pay a certain amount times the remaining months on the contract to get out of the contract, also known as exclusivity. You kind of want to look for exclusivity or liquidated damages. It's a really important piece because it could end up costing you a lot in the end. If your solution provider isn't doing a good job, doesn't provide what you were promised, or any number of other things. So look for liquidated damages or exclusivity. It's just a contractual provision that essentially locks you in and has you pay a lot if you decide to leave. So we never work with anybody that has the liquidated damages baked into their contract. Feel free to reach out and ask questions about that if you have questions on exclusivity or liquidated damages. When you work with a payment solutions provider in integrated payments, specifically with Sage, Sage has one provider that is built on Sage code. We call it native, and it's easy to work with. Works with all of the third-party solutions, tends to be really easy to install and uninstall, and we love it. At the end of the day, when you work with the third-party solutions outside of that one native solution, you run into a situation where you're putting files on your system that basically reroute the payments plumbing. And with the payments plumbing being rerouted, essentially what you have to do if you ever want to leave is you have to uninstall the whole library master and reinstall it. If you want to know more about that, I can walk you through that. Feel free to reach out as well. It's something that nobody really tells you about, but it's a really big pain in the back end if you don't find out about it up front, because it could make your decision whether you want to go with the solution provider or not. And again, this is specifically with third-party payment solutions providers. How to negotiate low rates. There are a few tips for that. One, you have to know the effective rate or the average rate and fees for your industry. Kind of have a ballpark for that. We always say not to provide your merchant statement up front, and the merchant statement just is the statement of fees that you've paid for the previous month or months that your current provider provides. Always have somebody shoot from the hip, give you their best up front, and then provide the statement after the fact. You just kind of want to see what they're willing to give you to see if you're even interested in the first place. But generally, merchant statements are required because you want to provide that information in order to give a a really accurate readout of what you're actually doing and what you can save. Always do an annual rate review of your processing rates and fees, meaning whatever provider you're with, hold their feet to the fire every year, have them come back to you with a rate review, whether you have to get, rate review from somebody else to send to them and shop it. Just always make sure that you're on top of it. And that's something that we can help with as well. Never ever accept a tiered pricing structure. It's not transparent at all. It's a little bit tough to explain without having you see the numbers, but it's basically bucketing all of your cards into 1 or 5 different buckets, and you never know what you're paying to the processor. Always request to work with a manager, not a commissioned employee. You want to work with somebody that is important, somebody that can make the decisions. You want to work with a payments consultant or a payments person that knows your industry. And specifically with Sage 100, we deal with wholesale, distribution, manufacturing, construction, services, chemical, food and beverage, nonprofit. I mean, there are a few others mixed in there, but that's, you want to work with somebody who has done what you need them to do and has some knowledge of what you do and how to get you the best deal. So equipment. You generally don't need a lot of equipment when you're running integrated payments in any of the Sage products. But if you do, we do offer the integrated equipment. We do cloud EMV, and we offer solutions that do cloud EMV. They're very good solutions, but what you don't want to get roped into is signing a lease for that equipment. We always give away the equipment or purchase it for you, or have some sort of a deal where you're not having to be tied into that equipment. Don't ever lease equipment. If you're going to buy equipment, make sure that you buy it up front. There's no fine print that you haven't read. When it comes to getting a rate quote or rate reviews from merchant service providers, what you'll see is grossly overstated savings most of the time. And what that means is they'll look at your merchant statement and they'll say, hey, we can save you all of this money and here's where we can save you. Well, what you want to do is you want to be able to put the math together. And the buzzword words nowadays are level 2 and level 3 or interchange optimization. So what they're doing a lot of times now is they're saying that all of your cards that you take in a given month are going through at a level 3 or level 2 savings, and that's not the truth. A lot of times if you're doing B2B transactions, you'll get 20 to 30% of those that are B2B transactions or a B2B card is used, which then you could save money on, but they're quoting it as if 100% of those are B2B transactions, including debit, and you'll see a savings analysis, something like this, where it shows total monthly savings of $3,800 a month, and it's not even close to that when it comes out in the wash. So they get you excited, and it turns out to be a complete farce. So something that we can help you out with. We are always conservative when it comes to the savings because we want to make sure that you know that what you're getting or what you're promised is what you're getting at the end of the day. And the way that we look at things is support is the biggest key. You want to have a solution that works, obviously, and the solutions that we provide work. And the biggest part of that is support. As you'll find with merchant service providers, you'll sign up with them and then you'll never get them to call you back when you need them. That's one thing that we pride ourselves upon. We do the support in-house. We give you our direct contact information. So Tom and I are the owners of the company. We give you our information for a reason, but our support staff is 24/7. It's US based, and we will be here to help you regardless. We will help you even if you're not our client. We will help your clients even if you're not a partner with us or one of our resellers that we work with. Just feel free to reach out to us anytime you need us, and we can generally fix the issue. Doesn't matter the platform, we can generally work out the issue in no time. We're happy to do it. Payments consultant. So again, we look at ourselves a little bit differently. When it comes to consulting, payments consulting, a lot of times what's happening is you're pigeonholed into one solution provider, and that's one thing that we wanted to avoid. So we're independent. We manage multiple solutions. We have some of our own, and we leverage other technologies, but we do all of the support and everything in-house. And the way that we look at it is consultants usually have the heart of a teacher. That's the way we want you to look at us. We want you to look at us as if we are an extension of your business, whether you are a end user or a partner. And consultants are generally a neutral party. That's the way we look at it. If there's a solution that we don't offer that's better, we're going to tell you. If there's pricing structure that's better, we're going to tell you. If there's a solution overall that's better, we're going to tell you. So the bottom line is we want you to have options. We want your clients to have options. We do play well with everyone. All of the solutions that were shown today are our friends. We work with them. If you have questions or concerns, feel free to reach out directly to Tom or myself. Our information is right here, and I know Adrian will send it out at the end. If you need demos or want to do a deeper dive, reach out to us, and we are happy to help. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Maya, and everyone who presented. Great presentation. All right, everybody, we'll be in touch. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your week.